The battlefield was finally quiet. Broken stone lay in piles. Giant roots twisted through old marble. A cold wind moved ash over the ground where gods had fallen. Kratos walked alone between the ruins, each step slow and heavy. His axe hung at his side. The blades of chaos rested on his back. His arms and chest were marked with old scars and fresh burns. He did not look back. He thought of Atreus, of the boy's hope for something better, a world without gods tearing it apart. Kratos had killed his way through 2 pantheons, and still the work of living was not done. "I am tired," he said to no one. Ahead of him, the air shimmered. At first it looked like heat over stone. Then the shimmer opened. Space folded like glass bending in a fire. A jagged tear hung above the ground, edges glowing, inside black and deep. Magic, he thought. Not his. Not the old gods. Something else. The tear hummed. A faint voice, or maybe a memory, flickered at the edge of his mind. Another world, another chance, or another war. He could turn away, find a quiet cabin, hunt, sit by a fire and wait for age to take him. But peace never stayed. War always found him, or found those he cared about. "If there is a place where they do not need a god of war," he muttered, "I will see it with my own eyes." Kratos stepped forward. The tear wrapped around him like cold water. The world snapped. Darkness, pressure, a scream of something moving faster than thought. Then light. He burst out of a clear night sky over a city that never slept. Wind tore at him. Towering buildings rose in every direction. Windows glittered. Giant screens showed smiling faces in bright colors. Cars crawled along glowing lines of light far below. For a breath, Kratos simply fell. Then gravity took him. He hit a giant billboard first. The smiling face of a man in a blue suit and red cape grinned down at him from 10 stories tall, eyes shining, hands open like a savior. Words beside the image read, "Homelander, you're safe with us." Kratos smashed through the center of the face. The sign exploded into lights and metal. He crashed straight through it and then into the street. Asphalt cracked, cars skidded. A shockwave knocked people off their feet. When the dust settled, there was a crater in the middle of the road. A hand, large and scarred, pushed up from the broken concrete. Kratos climbed out, bits of flaming plastic and twisted metal falling from his shoulders. He took a breath. The air tasted like smoke, oil, and something sharp from the sky. People screamed and pointed phones at him. "What the? Is that a soup? Are we rolling? Go live, go live." Kratos looked around. Strange clothes, bright lights, small glowing rectangles in almost every hand. But fear, at least, was the same everywhere. A figure dropped out of the sky, trailing a blue glow. He landed on the hood of a car with a heavy thud and raised his arms as if presenting himself to the crowd. He wore a tight suit with armor plates and a mask that covered his eyes. His logo shone on his chest. "Citizens," the man shouted, voice already streaming to his phone in his hand. "Do not fear. Thunderfist is..." Kratos stared. Thunderfist raised his other hand and pointed at the stranger in the crater. "Unknown hostile soup detected. Engaging for your safety. Like and subscribe if..." He fired a blast of crackling blue energy. The beam hit Kratos full in the chest. It pushed dust and loose rock away in a ring. A few people ducked behind cars, shrieking. Kratos did not move. He looked down at the faint scorch mark on his skin. Then he looked up at the man on the car. Thunderfist blinked. He lowered his phone a little. "Ah, that usually..." Kratos stepped forward and seized the front of the car. With one hand he flipped the entire vehicle, Thunderfist and all, onto its side. The fake hero bounced off the pavement, suit armor scraping. The crowd gasped. Thunderfist tried to push himself up. "Sir, I'm going to have to..." Kratos picked him up by the throat and held him at arm's length. The man kicked and clawed at his grip, energy crackling weakly around his hands. "You attacked first," Kratos said. His voice was low and rough. "Why?" Content," Thunderfist gasped, eyes bulging. "Vought, algorithm, trending." Kratos frowned. The words meant little. The feeling, though, someone using power for praise, he knew well. He threw the man. Thunderfist flew through an empty bus stop, snapped the metal frame in half, and rolled to a stop in a heap. His mask was cracked. His phone lay smashed on the street, stream still trying to reconnect. Kratos turned as sirens screamed closer. He saw more figures moving on nearby rooftops. Cameras on thin poles at the corners of buildings swiveled toward him. High up on a glass tower, a room full of screens showed his image from 10 angles. In Vought International's control center, Ashley's mouth fell open. "Oh my God," she said. "Please tell me he's ours." Next to her, a dark-suited man with calm eyes leaned closer to the feed. Stan Edgar watched as Kratos stood in the broken street, framed by the torn remains of Homelander's smiling face above him. "Run every test you have," Edgar said. "I want to know what he is before Homelander does." On another screen, far above the city, a red and blue shape hovered in the clouds. Homelander narrowed his eyes, watching the strange, scarred man who had punched through his billboard. "Now who the hell are you?" he whispered, a small smile pulling at his lips. Down in the crater, Kratos looked up at the giant screen still playing the Homelander ad on nearby buildings. A false hero's face smiled down at the panicking street, while loud music promised safety. "These are your gods," Kratos murmured. Around him, the phones kept recording. He wondered, for a brief moment, if he had walked into a world that no longer needed gods. Then the sirens grew louder, and he knew the answer would not be simple. Ashley had a headache before the meeting even started. She sat at the long glass table in the Vought boardroom, a notebook open in front of her, pen tapping in her hand. The walls were full of screens. Every screen showed the same thing from different angles. The crater, the strange bald man, the broken Homelander billboard. "So," someone from PR said, voice a little too high, "we're thinking we label this as a spontaneous stunt gone wrong." Ashley did not answer him. She watched the feed from a street camera as the stranger flipped Thunderfist like a toy. Thunderfist's stats ran along the bottom of the screen. Compound V-type, strength level, market share. The numbers meant nothing against the way the car moved. "He has no V signature," the tech at the end of the table said. He zoomed in on the feed, overlaying a scan grid. "Nothing in our database. He hits the pavement like a truck, but there's no trace of compound V in his system." "Maybe it's broken," someone else muttered. "The scanner isn't broken," the tech snapped. "He's something else." The air in the room shifted. People straightened. Stan Edgar sat at the far end of the table, hands folded. He looked calm, but Ashley had worked for him long enough to feel when his attention sharpened. It felt like standing in front of a machine that had just switched on. "Play it again," Edgar said. They watched Kratos catch Thunderfist, speak, and throw him across the street. They watched him stand under the ripped face of Homelander. "What do we know?" Edgar asked. Ashley flipped through her notes. "He appeared out of nowhere over Midtown," she said. "No prior sightings, no social media presence before 30 minutes ago. No name, no brand. And he just destroyed a $10 million billboard and one of our mid-tier assets on live streams in 5 languages. A small, tight laugh came from the door. Homelander walked in, cape swinging lightly. He looked relaxed, but Ashley could see the tension in his jaw. He kept glancing at the frozen image of Kratos on the main screen. "Looks like someone new wanted to make a splash," Homelander said. "Big entrance, real subtle." "Thank you for joining us," Edgar said. Homelander smiled, all teeth. "Well, you know me, team player." He walked closer to the screen and tilted his head. Up close, Kratos looked even more wrong for this world. Pale skin marked with red, like a long, dried streak of paint. Dark beard, a build like a stone wall. Old-style armor, leather straps, fur, weapons that looked like they belonged in a museum, not a modern city. "He doesn't fly," Homelander said, almost to himself. "No," Edgar said, "but he survived a fall that would turn most soups into paste," and he shrugged off Thunderfist's blast without effort. Homelander's smile thinned at the reminder that Thunderfist worked for Vought too. "Maybe Thunderfist just sucks," he said. Ashley made a note not to schedule Thunderfist for any more interviews. Edgar turned his chair slightly. "For now," he said, "we treat this as a possible asset, a guest, and a test." "A test?" Homelander asked. "People are already posting the video," Edgar said. Another screen showed social feeds filling with clips of Kratos climbing out of the crater. Comments scrolled by too fast to read. "We can't hide him, but we can decide the story. We send someone friendly for first contact. No weapons visible, no Homelander." Homelander looked away from the screens with a small jerk. "Why not me?" he asked, still smiling. "Because," Edgar said, "if he is dangerous, we do not want to show him our king right away." A beat of silence. Then Edgar added, "And if you lose your temper on camera, it may complicate things." Homelander's eyes flashed red for half a second. Then the light faded. "Sure," he said softly. "Whatever you say, Stan." Ashley felt the air tighten. "Who do we send?" someone from talent asked quickly. Edgar looked at the list of the 7 on the screen. Smiles, logos, power ratings, approval numbers. "Starlight," he said. "She's the most trusted. People see her as kind, honest. We frame this as a peaceful meeting with a new hero. No one fires unless fired upon." Homelander's smile did not reach his eyes. "I'll keep an eye on them," he said. Ashley knew that meant he would be somewhere above, watching everything. "Fine," Edgar said. "Just remember, cameras everywhere." The boys watched the same videos on a much smaller screen. In a cramped safe house that smelled like sweat, coffee, and old takeout, Huey scrubbed backwards and forwards through the clip on a laptop. The footage was shaky and grainy, recorded by someone screaming in the background, but it was clear enough. Kratos rose from the crater. Thunderfist talked to his phone. Thunderfist blasted him. Kratos did not care. "Jesus," Huey said. He didn't even flinch. Billy Butcher sat on the couch with his boots up on a crate, a beer in his hand, watching with a thin smile. His eyes were sharp. "Look at the car," he said. Huey paused the video. "One-handed," Butcher said. "He flips it like it's a shopping cart." Mother's Milk leaned on the back of the couch, arms crossed. "He's not one of ours," he said. "No V-file, no shady contract. Nobody's ever seen this guy before today." Frenchie whistled softly. "Maybe he is an alien soup," he said. "Or a demon. Or the ghost of every person Homelander forgot to save. Kimiko did not say anything. She watched the video with a strange look on her face. It wasn't fear exactly, more like recognition. "Play it again," Butcher said. Huey did. This time, Butcher watched Kratos' face when he looked up at Homelander's smiling ad. The way his jaw tightened, the slow, cold focus. "Look at that," Butcher said. "He hates that billboard." "He hates Homelander?" Huey asked. "He hates gods," Butcher said. "Or people who think they are." Huey frowned. "We don't know that." Butcher raised the bottle and took a drink. "I know the look, Hugh," he said. "Bloke's seen people like Homelander before, and they did not impress him." Shook his head. "We don't even know if he's a good guy or a bad guy," he said. "We just know he can throw cars and doesn't like cameras much." "Good," Butcher said. "I'm not looking for a good guy. I'm looking for a weapon that isn't scared of capes." Huey looked back at the screen. Kratos filled the frame, silent and solid. "If he's that strong," Huey said quietly, "what if we can't control him?" Butcher smiled without humor. "Who said anything about control?" he asked. "You don't control a bomb, mate. You just point it and hope you're far enough away when it goes off." Kratos walked. The city pressed in on every side. Lights, horns, voices, small machines on wheels, big signs with smiling faces. There were more people than he had seen in one place in a long time. They stared. Some took pictures. Some crossed the street to get away from him. He ignored them. He walked in the shadows where the light of the big screens did not reach. The air was thick with smells, garbage, grease, fear, and something sweet he could not name. He had no map, but he did not need one. He moved by feel, by the press of power around him, by the tug in his chest that told him where the weak spots were. He did not belong here. That was clear. But there were people. People who could be crushed. He thought again of Atreus, of a boy who had wanted to find giants, not wars, of a son who had told him that not every problem could be solved with an axe. Kratos snorted softly to himself. "I am trying," he muttered. A neon sign buzzed above a narrow doorway ahead. The picture showed a plate and a steaming cup. The words meant nothing to him, but he understood the picture. Inside, the diner was small and old. A few booths, a counter. The smell of frying meat and coffee filled the air. The chatter stopped when Kratos ducked under the doorframe and stepped in. The woman behind the counter stared for a long second. Then she blinked and forced a smile. "Seat yourself," she said, like this happened every day. Kratos sat at a booth near the back, where he could see the door and the street through the window. A young man with a notepad came over, eyes wide. "Can I get you something?" he asked. "Meat," Kratos said, "and water, hot." The waiter hesitated. "Like tea?" "Water," Kratos repeated. "Hot." "Okay," the waiter said, writing it down. There was a television mounted over the counter. It played the news on a channel with a Vought logo in the corner. Homelander's face filled the screen, shining and proud, as clips from the crater looped in a frame beside him. "An unknown soup made quite the entrance today," the anchor said. "But don't worry. Homelander was watching the whole time. You're safe." Kratos watched in silence. On the screen, they blurred Thunderfist's broken body, but replayed his opening speech 3 times. They cut away before Kratos threw the car. "They do not show the truth," Kratos said under his breath. His food arrived. A plate piled with greasy meat, some kind of bread, and a steaming mug. He took a bite. It was too salty and too rich, but it was food, and it was warm. For a moment, there was peace. Then a small icon appeared in the corner of the TV, live. "Breaking news," the anchor said. "Vaught's own Starlight is on her way to meet with the new super-powered individual. Let's go to our cameras on the ground. The picture switched to a street nearby. Police lines, crowd control, a camera crew, and a glowing figure in white and gold stepping forward. Kratos sighed and set down his fork. Peace never lasted. Annie January pulled her hood a little tighter as she stepped out of the armored van. Bright lights hit her at once. Reporters shouted questions. Fans waved posters. Vought handlers moved around her like a small army. "Remember," Ashley's voice said in her earpiece, "you're the face of hope. We want calm, smiles. If he plays nice, you play nice. If he doesn't, Homelander is in the air and we cut the feed." "Got it," Annie said. She did not feel like the face of hope. She felt like a small piece being placed on a very large board. Ahead, the street glowed under streetlights. At the far end, a figure stood in the middle of the road, facing away from the cameras. Big, broad, axe on his back. He looked old, but not in a weak way, more like a mountain that had been there a very long time. He turned as she walked closer. His eyes were yellow and tired. He looked at her like he had seen 1,000 soldiers in armor before and knew exactly how many lived and died. "Hi," she said, trying to sound friendly. "My name is Starlight. I'm here to talk." She could feel cameras aimed at her from every side. The crowd held its breath. The man studied her suit, her glowing hands, the Vought logo on the barriers. "You are with them," he said. His voice was deep. "The ones who put their faces in the sky." Annie swallowed. "I work with Vought," she said carefully, "but I'm also my own person. We all just want to make sure nobody gets hurt." "Nobody gets hurt," Kratos repeated, looking past her at the cameras and armed guards. Annie followed his gaze. "Okay," she said, "almost nobody. Look, people are scared. You dropped out of the sky and broke a very expensive billboard." "It was in my way," he said. She almost laughed, then caught herself. "Yeah, that sounds about right." "Where I come from," Kratos said, "gods put their faces in the sky to remind men who holds the power. I have broken those faces before." Annie's stomach tightened. "We're not gods," she said. "We're just people. With help." "Help," Kratos said, eyes narrowing. "Compound V," she said quietly. "They give it to kids. They grow up like me, or like Homelander, or worse." He watched her face when she said worse. He saw the regret there. "And this Vought controls them all?" he asked. "They try," Annie said. "They control how we look, what we say, who we save, how we save them." She took a breath. She had not meant to say that much, but it was too late to pull it back. "I am not theirs," Kratos said. "I will not wear their symbols. I will not smile for their stories." "Okay," Annie said, hands open. "That's honestly fair. But they're going to tell stories about you anyway. That's how this place works. Maybe if you talk to them, you can control a little of it." "Control," Kratos said softly. He took a step closer. Camera people flinched. Guards tightened grips on guns. "Do they control you?" he asked. Annie held his gaze. "Less than they used to." From a rooftop half a block away, Butcher watched through binoculars. "Look at them," he said. "Little church girl in the mountain." Huey stood beside him, stomach tight, watching Annie. "She's alone out there," he said. "She's not alone," Butcher said. "We're watching, and so is Golden Boy." We nodded upward. High above, a small red-blue shape hung still in the air, cape fluttering. Homelander watched the scene below with his arms folded. His eyes were narrowed, his expression calm, but his jaw clenched when Kratos stepped close to Starlight. "If he lays a hand on her," he muttered. He could hear every word from this height. Kratos talked about gods, about breaking faces, about not belonging to anyone. Homelander's fingers curled. Down below, Annie tried one more time. "You don't have to join us," she said, "but people will come for you. They'll want to use you, or destroy you. Vought, the government, others. If you talk to us, at least we can try to make this less of a mess." Kratos looked to the side, at the crowd behind the barriers, at the people with phones, eyes wide, at the police with shaking hands. "I will not serve them," he said, "or you. If there are people here who cannot fight for themselves, I will act. That is all." "That's not really how this system works," Annie said. "Then your system is wrong," Kratos replied. The words were simple, quiet, but they hit her like a punch. He turned away from the cameras and walked down a side street, leaving the lights behind. The crowd buzzed, reporters shouted questions. Ashley yelled in Annie's ear about follow-up messaging. On the rooftop, Butcher lowered the binoculars with a grin. "Perfect," he said. "He hates Vought, he hates billboards, and he likes saving people. I like him already." Huey frowned. "We don't know that he likes saving people," he said. Butcher's smile widened. "We're going to give him a chance to prove it." Far away, in the boardroom, Edgar watched Kratos walk into the shadows on the main screen. "We will keep him under observation," he said. "If he becomes a problem, we will be ready." "A problem?" Ashley asked. Edgar's eyes never left the screen. "He is a world-changing variable," he said. "Problems and opportunities are often the same thing." The factory district smelled like rust and smoke. Old brick buildings stood in lines, windows broken or boarded up. Trucks came and went at odd hours. Some carried legal goods, many did not. Supes who did not work for Vought liked this area. The cameras were fewer, the rules looser. That made it perfect for what Vought wanted today. In a hidden room under one of the warehouses, a group of nervous men in suits watched a bank of screens. On those screens, a pack of lesser-known supes armored up, laughing and jostling each other. "These guys signed the contracts, right?" one of the suits asked. "We can't have any oops. I didn't know it was lethal lawsuits this week." "They signed the NDA and the stunt bonus form," another said. "They think this is a test run for a new reality show." A third man adjusted his tie. "Well, they're about to meet the guest star." On another floor, hidden devices beeped quietly. Charges had been placed on key support beams. Controlled demolition, the plan called it. The risk to civilians was acceptable, with proper spin. In Vought Tower, Edgar stood with arms behind his back, watching the factory district from a high-level feed. "Containment teams in place?" he asked. "Ready," came the reply. "Homelander, already in the air. Starlight, in reserve, on comms. And our visitor?" A DoD agent on the line cleared his throat. "He has been sighted 3 blocks away. He seems to be moving in that direction." "Good," Edgar said. "Let's see what he does when people scream." Kratos heard the first blast before he saw the smoke. He was walking along a narrow street lined with shuttered stores when the ground shook. A boom rolled through the air. A dark plume rose on the horizon. People stopped. Heads turned. Sirens wailed in the distance. Kratos did not need anyone to tell him which way to go. His legs moved on their own, heavy boots pounding the pavement. He cut through alleys, jumped fences, and ignored shouts. Another blast. Closer. He turned a corner and saw the factory district ahead. One of the buildings already burned, flames licking out of broken windows. Another had its corner blown out, hanging at a sick angle. People ran through the streets, coughing and screaming. Soups moved through the chaos. Some wore cheap costumes, clearly not part of the seven. One had metal plates growing out of his skin. Another glowed orange and left a heat shimmer behind him. A woman floated a foot above the ground, hands raised, pieces of jagged steel circling her like knives. They shouted at the crowd and at each other. They also shouted at cameramen in vests with the Vault logo, making sure every hero move got a clear shot. Kratos saw a child trip and fall near a rolling forklift. He moved. A burning beam crashed down in front of him. He stepped through the fire, embers touching his skin and going out. The girl looked up just in time to see a huge hand wrap around the forklift's frame. Kratos lifted it like it was nothing and set it aside. "Go," he said. She ran. One of the soups noticed him. "Hey," Metalskin shouted. "What are you doing? This is a controlled..." Kratos kept walking. Metalskin charged, fists up. He swung with all his might at Kratos' head. Kratos caught his fist in one hand. The impact sent small cracks through the ground at his feet. Metalskin's eyes widened. He tried to pull back. He could not. "You are in the way," Kratos said. He pulled the soup off his feet and hurled him into a stack of crates. Wood exploded. Metalskin lay half buried and did not get up. The glowing orange soup fired a blast at Kratos' back. Heat washed over him. His skin reddened, but no more than that. Kratos turned, eyes narrowing. He reached over his shoulder and drew the Leviathan axe. The air cooled around him. He threw the axe. The weapon spun through the air, leaving a trail of frost. It smashed into the orange soup's chest, sending him crashing into a wall. Ice spread over his suit, pinning him there. The axe stayed buried in the concrete. People stared, mouths open. Kratos held out his hand. The axe ripped free of the wall and flew back into his grip. Someone screamed. Someone else cheered. Up on a rooftop, the boys watched through scopes and cameras. "Okay," Huey said weakly. That's insane." Frenchie's eyes shone. "He has a magic axe," he said. "We must steal it." "Do not even think about it," MM said. Butcher watched the way Kratos moved. No wasted steps. Every strike clean and hard. He watched him grab a falling beam with one arm while throwing the axe with the other. "Come on, big fella," Butcher muttered. "Show everyone what a god killer can do." Homelander arrived with a rush of displaced air. He dropped out of the sky, landing on a ruined truck like it was a stage. His cape fluttered in the rising heat. Cameras turned to catch his entrance. "Folks," he called, voice clear and warm. "Don't panic. Your heroes are here." A few people cheered. Others simply stared at the fire. Kratos looked up at him. Their eyes met for the first time without a screen between them. Homelander's smile did not change, but inside, something cold brushed his spine. Up close, the stranger felt wrong. Not just strong, heavy. Real in a way the other soups were not. Like the world bent a little around him. "Hello there," Homelander said, jumping lightly down from the truck. "Heard you've been causing quite a scene." "I heard screaming," Kratos said. "I came." Homelander chuckled. Sure, he said. "Love the outfit, by the way. Very, retro. You got a name, buddy?" "Kratos," he replied. Homelander nodded slowly. "Kratos," he repeated. "Well, Kratos, I'm Homelander. This is my city, my people. And when someone drops in uninvited and starts breaking my stuff..." Another explosion cut him off. This one was much closer. A section of the nearest factory wall blew out, showering the street with debris. A support column gave way. Half the building sagged. People screamed again. "Right," Homelander said, eyes flicking to the cameras. "Let's save the day, yeah." He shot into the air and fired twin beams of heat vision at a falling chunk of concrete, slicing it into smaller pieces that hit the ground with less force. Kratos moved under another falling beam and caught it on his shoulders, muscles corded. The weight would have crushed a truck. He held it long enough for the people underneath to run. Overhead, Homelander noticed. He did not like being upstaged. "Let me give you a hand," he called. He turned his gaze from the falling debris to Kratos and, for a brief second, let his beams hit full strength. Red light slammed into Kratos' chest. The beam pushed him back a step. The beam burned across his skin. The beam made the air scream. Kratos' teeth clenched. His boots dug furrows in the concrete. The beam stopped when his back hit a half-broken wall. The wall shattered. The beam faded. Smoke curled from Kratos' chest. Black scorch marks crossed his skin, but he was still standing. His eyes glowed faintly with rage. He rolled his neck once. Homelander hovered, eyes wide. He had meant it as a test shot. That blast could cut tanks in half. The man below him looked annoyed, not wounded. On the rooftop, Huey covered his mouth. "He tanked that," he said. "He actually tanked that." Butcher's grin was vicious. "Oh, Homelander is gonna hate this," he said. Kratos reached slowly over his shoulder and pulled the axe again. This time he did not throw it. He slammed the head into the ground. A wave of frost rippled outward. Fire near him hissed and died. Cracked concrete froze, spiderwebs of ice racing across the street. Homelander floated in the air, breathing harder than he needed to. He told himself it was the smoke, the chaos, not fear. "Careful now," he called down. "Wouldn't want to hurt the nice people, would we?" "You should have thought of that before you fired," Kratos said. His voice carried clearly. For a second, Homelander's mask slipped. His eyes narrowed. His lips pulled back from his teeth. He was about to answer when a new voice crackled in his ear. "Homelander," Ashley said, "we're deploying the special asset. Stay in character." Homelander exhaled through his nose. "Fine," he said. He flew higher, out of reach, watching. On the far side of the burning buildings, a heavy door blew off its hinges. A man stepped through the smoke, covered in dirt and old green armor. A device on his chest hummed. His eyes were already angry. "Where's the threat?" Soldier Boy barked. His breath clouded the air in front of him. The blast core on his chest glowed faintly. A handler in a flak vest pointed. "Over there," he said. "Big guy. Beard. Axe. You can't miss him." Soldier Boy snorted. "I never miss," he said. He walked into the street, boots crunching glass. When he saw Kratos, he paused and frowned. "You don't look like any soup I've seen," Soldier Boy said. Kratos sized him up. Old eyes, heavy armor, the feel of a bomb with legs. "You smell of power," Kratos said, "and pride." Soldier Boy grinned. "Damn straight." The device on his chest grew brighter. On the rooftop, swore. "Oh hell," he said. "They brought him out." "Who?" Huey asked. "Soldier Boy," said. "Walking Chernobyl." Frenchie's mouth fell open. "This'll be very bad," he said happily. Down below, Soldier Boy rolled his shoulders. "Let's see what you've got, big guy," he said. Then he let the blast go. Light and force smashed into Kratos like a hammer made of 100 suns. The air exploded. Windows shattered for blocks. The street buckled. For a moment, everything was noise and white. Homelander shielded his face with one arm squinting against the glare. On the rooftop, the boys ducked behind cover. Dust and broken glass rained down on them. When the light faded, A crater even larger than the first one sat where Kratos had been. Smaller soups staggered, clutching their heads. Their powers flickered and died. One tried to fly and barely got off the ground. Another tried to turn invisible and just faded a little at the edges. Soldier Boy grunted. "Yeah," he said, "that'll do it." Then, from the center of the crater, a low growl rose. Kratos pushed himself up from the ground. His skin was scorched and smoking. His armor was cracked in places. But he was moving. His eyes burned with deeper fire now, red and angry. He reached for the blades of chaos. Chains rattled as he drew them. The blades lit with dull orange light. Spartan rage pulled at him. He let it in. With a roar, he leaped up out of the crater, landing in front of Soldier Boy hard enough to make the ground quake. Soldier Boy's grin vanished. "Ah, shit," he said. Kratos swung. The blades cut through a nearby truck, through the air, and through Soldier Boy's guard. Sparks flew as metal met strange armor. The force sent Soldier Boy skidding backward, boots tearing grooves in the road. The blades burned as they moved. Each strike left lines of fire on concrete and air. Soldier Boy tried to charge another blast, but Kratos stayed on him, not giving him the time. A chain wrapped around his arm and yanked him off his feet. Kratos slammed him into the hood of a car, then into the pavement. People ran in every direction. Cameras shook and zoomed, trying to keep up. Homelander watched, jaw tight. He could break most soups in seconds. This thing, this Kratos, was manhandling their secret weapon like a training dummy. He hated it. But he also saw something else out of the corner of his eye. The second factory building groaned. Support beams, weakened by blasts, buckled. The top floors began to tilt. Below, trapped workers pounded on blocked doors and broken windows. Kratos heard their cries. He had his knee on Soldier Boy's chest, blades at his throat, ready to end it. Spartan rage roared inside him, wanting blood. Then he heard a child scream. His head turned. The building started to fall. He cursed and leaped off Soldier Boy. He ran toward the collapse, blades vanishing in fire as he let them go. He got under the falling mass and pushed his shoulders against it. The weight came down like a mountain. His legs shook. The ground cracked under his feet. He held. "Get out!" he shouted. His voice rolled through the broken floors. People scrambled, stumbling over each other as they fled. On the rooftop, Huey stared. "He's holding a building," he said. Butcher watched Kratos straining under the falling concrete, not letting it crush the workers. "Yeah," Butcher said softly, "he is." In the street, Soldier Boy dragged himself to his feet, coughing. Homelander saw his chance. He shot down, grabbed Soldier Boy by the shoulder, and lifted him into the air like he was saving him. "Got you, buddy," Homelander said, loud enough for the cameras. "Let's get you out of here." Soldier Boy squinted at him. "I didn't say I needed." Homelander flew anyway, pulling him away from the scene. "Folks," Homelander called to any live mic still working, "we're going to secure our asset and keep you safe. That's what heroes do." The approved line. The approved smile. Behind him, Kratos roared again, forcing the last of the building's weight onto broken beams as the last workers ran clear. When he finally stepped aside, the remaining structure collapsed into a pile of rubble behind him. He stood in front of it, chest heaving, skin burned, shoulders bleeding from small cuts. He looked up. Homelander was already a bright dot in the sky, flying away with Soldier Boy. Cameras followed the cape. Kratos looked at the fleeing shape with cold eyes. He had seen this before too. Gods who claimed the victory while others held the weight. Around him, the air stank of smoke and fear. People stared at him, phones raised, eyes shining with terror and awe. He turned and walked out of the ruin. Every step he took sent dust swirling. Every camera turned to track him. That night, the world watched the footage. On Vault News, the story was clear. Homelander and Soldier Boy had stopped a terrorist attack on a factory district. An unknown soup had also been present and added to the chaos. The edit cut away whenever Kratos saved someone. On independent streams and raw uploads, a different story played. A man with an axe and burning chains walked through fire. He tanked Homelander's beams. He survived Soldier Boy's blast. He held up a collapsing building so workers could escape. In a small bar, two lesser soups watched the clip and did not speak for a while. "You think he's on our side?" one finally asked. The other took a drink. "I think he's not on anybody's side," he said, "and that scares me more." In the vault tower, Homelander stood in front of a steel table in a private room. His hands were flat on the surface. His reflection looked back at him from the metal. He thought of his beam hitting Kratos, of the man still standing, of the way he had turned away to save ants under a building instead of finishing Soldier Boy. Homelander's fingers dug into the table. The metal groaned. With a sudden shout, he tore the table in half. The pieces crashed to the floor. He breathed hard for a few seconds, then straightened his suit, fixed his hair in a nearby reflection, and pasted on his smile again. Outside, the city lights blinked. Somewhere down there, a stranger from another world had just changed the balance of power. Kratos walked through the dark streets, the sounds of sirens fading behind him. His burns already healed. His muscles ached, but it was a familiar ache. He did not know this world's rules. He did not know its gods or its monsters. He knew one thing. They had seen his strength today, and he had seen theirs. The war, whatever shape it would take, had just begun. The clip of the collapsing factory played on every screen that night. On Vault News Network, the anchor spoke in a calm, polished voice, while the footage rolled in a neat little frame beside him. Homelander flew through smoke with Soldier Boy under one arm. Bright graphics read, "Heroes save city from terror plot." Chemicals spilled from trucks. Flames rose. People ran. Whenever Kratos caught a beam, whenever he cut a soup, whenever he pushed against the falling building, the image cut away to Homelander's face. He was there too, the anchor said, this unknown vigilante, causing confusion, making an already dangerous situation worse. But thanks to Homelander and Soldier Boy, the real threat was stopped before more lives were lost. Ashley watched from a dark office, shoes off, feet up on another chair. The blue light from the screen made her look even more tired. She rewound the feed and watched it again. She knew the raw clips by heart now. Kratos walking through fire, Kratos lifting steel like it was wet paper, Kratos taking Homelander's full blast and not going down. They had cut all of that. "Okay," she muttered to herself. "Okay, public story first. Everything else we deal with later." On another channel, a shaky phone video replayed the unedited moment when Kratos pushed up the building, muscles straining, shouting at people to run. Comments flew up the side of the screen. God, monster, king. Ashley rubbed her temples. They were losing the narrative at the edges. That always happened near reality. You could not clean every corner, but you could flood the center with your version. Her phone buzzed. A message from Edgar. "Conference room. Now." She slipped her heels back on, grabbed her tablet, and headed for the meeting. The conference room smelled like coffee and expensive fear. A few government suits sat stiffly on one side of the table. Vought board members sat on the other, faces calm but tight. Screens on the wall showed still shots of Kratos in the crater under the falling building and walking away through dust. One slide showed simple numbers: impact force estimate, energy tolerance, radius of destruction. They did not look like normal soup numbers. "We can't allow this thing to walk around free," one of the government men said. His tie was too tight. Sweat showed at his hairline. "You said you had soups under control. Contracts, pills, files. This one isn't in your little catalogue." Edgar clasped his hands. "He appeared less than 48 hours ago," he said. "We are already tracking his movements. Our people are watching him." "That's not good enough," the man shot back. "He survived Soldier Boy's blast at close range. You know what that means. If he goes bad, we have nothing that can stop him." "Soldier Boy survived the blast as well," Edgar said. "He can handle another round when needed." The man shook his head. "That hit took out the powers of half the soups within 3 blocks. We can't use that in a crowded city every time this stranger gets moody." Ashley scrolled to the next slide. The title read, "Risk, Opportunity." "We see this as a long-term asset," she said carefully. "Yes, he's strong, but he's also not branded, not trusted. People are confused. That gives us time." "Time for what?" another official asked, waiting until he picks a side. Edgar's eyes flicked to the screen showing Kratos holding up the building. "He already has a side," Edgar said. "He moves when civilians scream. He ignores cameras. He rejects our offers, but he does not strike first without reason." The room was quiet. "So you think he's a hero?" someone said, like the word tasted bad. Edgar's mouth barely moved. "I think he has rules," he said. "That is better than a weapon without any." "And you?" the first man asked. "What are you going to do about him?" Edgar watched Kratos on the screen for a long moment. "We are going to understand him," he said. "We are going to test him, and then we decide if he lives in our world, or if we make sure he doesn't." Ashley swallowed. She studied the side of Edgar's face and wondered which way he was leaning right now. Probably toward profit, she thought, whatever that looks like. The safe house TV sat on a stack of milk crates, the picture cut in and out. A wire at the back was loose and never got fixed. Huey smacked the side of the set until the news anchor's face stopped shaking. On screen, Vaught's edit of the factory fight played again. Homelander, Soldier Boy, flames. Kratos was mostly missing. "So that's the official version," Huey said. "No mention of him taking that blast. No mention of him holding up half a building while Homelander did his victory pose." Mother's Milk leaned against the table, arms crossed. "I'm not surprised," he said. "They can't pump that image to kids. Look, a guy who makes Homelander look small. That's bad for cereal sales." Kimiko sat on the floor near the door, knees pulled up, eyes half on the TV and half on the shadows under it. Frenchie sat next to her, rolling a knife between his fingers. Butcher paced. He didn't like sitting still when the board changed this much. "They're scared of him," Butcher said. "That's good. That means they'll make mistakes." "Sure," Huey said. "But, so will we, if we treat him like a magic button." Butcher stopped. "Magic button," he repeated. "You know what I mean," Huey said. "Send him here, punch this, problem solved. He's not a tool. He's like a wild animal, or a storm. You can't just put a storm on a leash." "Cute," Butcher said. "You've been reading self-help books again." Huey rolled his eyes. "I'm serious," he said. "Everyone's talking about him. Look." He grabbed his phone. Social media apps flashed open. Clips of Kratos in the crater. Kratos with the axe. Kratos walking away from Homelander. Some people cut silly music over the videos. Others put text, Godslayer, Daddy, King, Monster. He's not just a thing on a screen, Huey said. He's a person. We don't know what he wants. We don't know what happens if we push him too far. But we know what happens if we don't, Butcher said quietly. He stepped closer to the TV. We know what happens if Homelander keeps flying around like a happy little flag while Vought uses kids like pill bottles, he said. We know what happens if Soldier Boy keeps walking around with that bomb in his chest. That's not a storm, Hugh. That's a loaded gun pointed at all of us. Huey held his gaze. So what? He asked. We light a match under something even bigger and hope it burns the right people. Butcher smiled without humor. Something like that, he said. MM shook his head. Billy, he said, we go down that road. We might not come back. You know that. Butcher shrugged. When did we ever have a return ticket? He asked. We're already in hell, mate. I'm just looking for a bigger demon. He picked up his coat. Where are you going? Huey asked. Butcher pulled a cigarette from the pack, stuck it behind his ear, and opened the door. To meet him, he said, before Vought digs their claws in deeper than they already have. Kratos sat on a rooftop that looked like every other rooftop in this city. The air was cooler up here, away from the street heat. The noise of cars and voices rose like a constant low wave. Neon signs blinked around him. A big screen on a nearby building ran a loop of Homelander smiling, then cutting to a clip of him saving the factory district. Under Kratos' boots, gravel crunched softly when he shifted his weight. The roof door behind him was locked. He had broken the lock when he came up. He watched the city. His chest still carried faint marks from Homelander's beam and Soldier Boy's blast. They would fade soon. The ache in his muscles was normal. He had held more weight than that in other lives. What stayed was not the pain of the body. It was the question in his mind. These were not gods in truth. They bled. They posed for glowing boxes. They smiled when they lied. They were bound to men in suits, to contracts and numbers. In his old world, gods ruled with fear and myth. Here, they ruled with shows, with images. He did not know which was worse. You look like you're thinking very hard for a guy with an axe. Kratos turned his head. Billy Butcher stood a few feet away, hands in his pockets, coat flapping in the light wind. He looked like he had been there for a while. Kratos had heard the door open. He had heard the steady steps. He had decided there was no need to move. If the man wanted to speak, he would speak. You followed me, Kratos said. Yeah, Butcher said. Bit creepy, I know. I'd offer you a drink, but something tells me your taste runs more old world. He took a small bottle from his pocket anyway and wiggled it. Whiskey, he said. Not the worst kind. Kratos looked at it, then at Butcher. Keep it, he said. Butcher shrugged and put it back. So, he said, you're new. I am not new, Kratos said. I have lived long. I have killed gods, monsters, men, and myself many times over. Right, Butcher said. Sorry, let me try again. You're new here, on this little ball of lies we call home. He stepped closer and leaned on the low wall at the roof's edge, facing the city like Kratos did. You've met Homelander, Butcher said. You've met our little weapons backstage. You've saved some people. You've broken some toys. You've probably figured out by now that this place is rotten. Kratos watched him. You speak as if it is personal, he said. Butcher laughed once. Oh, it is. He pointed with his chin at a Vought billboard a few blocks away. It showed a group of smiling soups handing out food to happy children. "You see that?" Butcher asked. "All of that is a lie. Vought makes soups in labs, pumps kids full of drugs, sells them like dolls, and when they break, when they hurt people, the company cleans it up with ads. I have seen worse," Kratos said. "I have seen gods tear apart a world out of pride. I have seen kings feed their own people to beasts to prove a point." "Yeah," Butcher said. "And what did you do about it?" Kratos' jaw tightened. His hand flexed on the handle of his axe. "I killed them," he said, "one by one." "Must have felt good at the time," Butcher said. "It did not bring back the dead," Kratos said. "It did not give my daughter her life. It did not erase what I had done before." Butcher looked at him from the side. "You got a daughter," he said quietly. "Had," Kratos said. Something in his voice made Butcher look away. "I had a wife," Butcher said. "She died because of a cape, because of Homelander. Then I found out he had a son. A boy stuck between him and everything wrong with his system." He ground his teeth. "You and me," Butcher said. "We both lost family because gods thought they could do whatever they wanted. Only difference is, in my world, they stick 'em on cereal boxes afterward." Kratos looked down at his scarred hands. "Do you want me to kill them?" he asked. "All of them?" Butcher took a breath. He had imagined this question many times. He had thought about what it would feel like to point something like Kratos at Homelander and Vought and watch them fall. Every time, he had felt the same thrill, the same guilt. "We want to bring them down," Butcher said. "We want to break Vought. We want Homelander gone. How we do that changes every week." He met Kratos' eyes. "I'm not going to lie to you," Butcher said. "Yes, I want you to kill some of them. Not all soups. Some can be saved. Some are just stupid kids who never had a chance. But men like Homelander, they don't stop. They don't learn. They just take." Kratos' face stayed neutral, but his eyes darkened. "You think killing them will fix your world," he said. Butcher's jaw worked. "I think," he said slowly, "it gives people a chance to fix it without someone like him hovering over their houses." Kratos thought of Zeus, sitting on his throne, hurling lightning at anyone who spoke against him. He thought of Odin, moving pieces on a board while calling it fate. He had killed them. Their worlds had not healed at once, but new people had lived without those shadows. "It is never simple," he said. "No," Butcher agreed. "It isn't, but we ain't got the luxury of simple. We only got choices." He pushed himself off the wall. "Here's mine," Butcher said. "You keep doing what you're doing. You protect kids. You break soups who hurt people. We feed you information, where the worst bastards are, what they've done. You choose what to do with it." "You will use me," Kratos said. "Everyone will try," Butcher said. "Vought will offer you power. The government will offer you a home you don't want. Homelander will offer you a place beside him in the clouds. I'll be honest and offer you targets." "You want me to kill your gods for you," Kratos said. Butcher's smile was small and tired. "I want you," he said, "to know where they are when you decide you've had enough." Silence settled between them. The wind tugged at Butcher's coat. Far below, sirens wailed in the distance. A helicopter buzzed across the sky. Kratos looked out over the city again. "In my world," he said, "a boy once told me that not every story needs to end with a god's head in the dirt. He believed in change." "Smart kid," Butcher said. Kratos nodded once. "He was," he said. "He wanted better than I gave him. I failed many times. I am trying not to fail again." He turned his head toward Butcher. "I will not be your weapon," he said. "But if I see evil done, I will act. If your information shows me evil, I will look. Nothing more. Butcher held out his hand. Good enough for me, he said. Kratos stared at the hand for a second, then clasped it. His grip was firm, not crushing. Nice to meet you, Kratos, Butcher said. Welcome to the boys' little war. Homelander flew so high the city looked like a toy. The air was thin up here. Cold. He liked that. It reminded him that he was above everything. Above the noise. Above the mess. Above the people. His cape snapped in the wind. He floated on his back and watched the stars. He tried not to think about the beam. He had hit Kratos with almost full power. Not because he had to, because he wanted to see the man burn. He wanted to see him bend. Kratos had not bent. Homelander rolled in the air and stared down, eyes glowing faintly. He could hear them, even from up here, if he focused. People in bars and apartments, talking about the god from the crater. Clips playing on screens, some laughing, some cheering, some looking up at the sky as if waiting for a new savior. That last part bothered him the most. He was the savior. He was the one they should look at. Holmes. Ashley's voice buzzed in his ear. He had almost forgotten he still wore the little device. Yes, Ashley, he said, forcing his voice to sound light. Just a quick note, she said. The latest numbers came in. Approval is still high. Very high. You're fine. Still, he repeated. Yes, she said. We're just seeing a small spike in search terms for Kratos. You know, who is he? Is he single? That kind of thing. But don't worry. We're pushing your factory rescue interviews hard. People love that. You're trending. He hated that word. Great, he said. Thank you. Sure, Ashley chirped. You're our number one. Always. The line clicked off. Homelander's smile faded. He hovered there for a long time, alone with the hum of his own power. Somewhere down there, Edgar was probably already running numbers on Kratos, thinking of ways to manage him, like he tried to manage Homelander. Homelander clenched his fists. I'm not afraid of you, he muttered to the invisible figure in his mind. Kratos, Edgar, all of them. I'm not afraid of anyone. His knuckles were white. Ryan watched the fight on a small tablet in a quiet room. The video was one of the raw ones, not from a news channel. Someone had filmed from behind a car, shaking hands, giving the whole thing a weird rhythm. The boy sat cross-legged on the floor, elbows on his knees, eyes glued to the screen. Kratos walked through the fire. The axe flew. The building fell and he held it. Ryan's heart beat faster when the beam hit Kratos. He knew how that felt. His dad's eyes turned red and the world burned. He had seen what those beams did to people. Kratos stayed standing. Wow, Ryan whispered. He had seen Homelander fight too, of course, on big screens and up close. Homelander moved like a bullet. He saved planes. He tore crooks in half when they deserved it. He smiled a lot while he did it. Kratos did not smile at all. There was something quiet about the way he fought. Heavy. Real. Ryan had never seen anyone take a hit like that and then choose to save people instead of hitting back harder. Who's that? He asked. The door opened a crack. His caregiver, a tired-looking woman assigned by the government, stuck her head in. Dinner, she said. Do you know who that is? Ryan asked, pointing at the tablet. She squinted. That's that new guy, she said. They're calling him a vigilante. The news says he might be dangerous. But he saved those workers, Ryan said. He held up the building. She shrugged. Sometimes they edit stuff to look that way, she said. You know what Vought is like. He frowned. Dad says Vought shows the truth, he said. Your dad says a lot of things, she said gently. Come eat. You can watch more later. He clicked pause on Kratos' face and got up. As he left the room, he glanced at the frozen image one more time. He did not have words for it, but the man on the screen made him feel something he did not feel when he watched Homelander. Not awe, not fear. Something closer to safe. Deep in Vort's research wing, a different kind of meeting took place. The room was white, bright and cold. Machines hummed. Tubes carried glowing blue fluid here and there. Scientists in lab coats tapped at tablets. On a central table, screenshots of Kratos' fight lay spread out. Close-ups of his skin, his axe, the blades, heat signatures, rough guesses at material strength. We collected some air samples after the blast, one scientist said, bringing up numbers. Residual particles from his weapons are weird, not any known metal. Magic, someone joked weakly. The lead scientist didn't laugh. Call it whatever you want, she said. The axe loses heat around it. The chains gain it. That's energy control we don't understand. Edgar walked in quietly. He did not like to spend much time in labs, but sometimes he made exceptions. Doctor, he said. Sir, she said, straightening. How far along are we? He asked. We can't get a direct sample yet, she said. We'd need contact, blood, skin, something he sheds. But if we do, we might be able to map the energy signature. Maybe build a counterfield, or something that copies a fraction of it. Could we use it to open that tear again? Edgar asked. The one he came through? She hesitated. Maybe, she said. If we can trace it. If it's not a one-time event. This isn't physics as we know it. It's like someone left a door open by accident and he walked through. Edgar looked at Kratos' face on the screen. If there is one door, he said, there may be others. He thought of contracts on other worlds. Entire universes of soups and markets. Focus on getting the sample first, he said. We will think bigger after. How? She asked. He doesn't come near our controlled spaces. He refuses our offers. He's stubborn. Edgar nodded. Then we bring the test to him, he said, in a way he can't ignore. Butcher's informant met him behind a cheap grocery store. The alley smelled like rotting vegetables and motor oil. The man shifted from foot to foot, looking nervously at the street. You didn't hear this from me, the man said. If anyone asks, I was at church all day. Relax, Butcher said. I'm not here to ruin your good name. The man snorted. What's left of it, he said. Anyway, you wanted the worst of the worst. I got you something. He took out a folded paper map and tapped a block 3 streets away. Here, he said. Little corner of the city everyone forgets. Old folks, immigrants, shops that don't pay the right people. There's a soup gang there, not the big brand names, street level. They shake down shop owners for protection. Sometimes they take more. Vort know? Butcher asked. The man shrugged. Of course, he said. They know everything. They get a cut. But it's small potatoes, not worth a headline. They let the gang keep things tidy there. Tidy, Butcher repeated, jaw tight. The man tapped the map again. One diner on that block keeps saying no, he said. Owner's stubborn. Has a kid. They're going to push harder soon. Make an example. Diner, Butcher said. He pictured Kratos sitting in a quiet booth, watching the news. He pictured the man's face when his meal was ruined. You've seen our friend there? Butcher asked. Twice, the man said. Big guy, scars, orders plain food. The owner likes him because he actually pays. Butcher smiled. That's our in, he said. Did not like the look in his eye when Butcher showed them the map later. Billy, said, don't do this. Don't turn a neighborhood into bait because you want to see what he does. The neighborhood is already bait, Butcher said. Those soups are going in no matter what. I'm just making sure someone big enough to stop them knows where to be. By coincidence, Huey said slowly. Exactly, Butcher said. I'll leak a hint in the right ear. Tell Kratos that bad men are about to hurt people who can't fight back. He'll go. That's who he is. And us? Huey asked. We'll be there, Butcher said. Cameras ready. Temp V on hand. We see what happens when you drop a god of war into a small, nasty corner of town. He folded the map. Side quest, he said. Or main quest. Depends how it plays out. The diner looked a little busier the next time Kratos pushed open its door. A few more people sat in the booths now. Someone had fixed the flickering light over the counter. A small sign by the register read, No V Capes discount, 10% off. The woman behind the counter smiled when she saw him. Back again, she said. Kratos nodded. The food is acceptable, he said. She laughed. I'll take it, she said. Same as last time? He nodded again. He took his usual seat near the back. The television above the counter played a game show for once, not the news. Bright colors flashed. People yelled guesses at letters. The young waiter came over with a glass of water. Hot? He asked. Cold is fine, Kratos said this time. The waiter blinked, then smiled like this was some kind of progress. Kratos sipped the water and looked around. The diners talked quietly. An old man argued with a younger woman about rent. A kid drew something on a napkin with a crayon. The small sounds made a kind of calm. He let his shoulders loosen. He did not trust calm, but he valued it when it came. His food arrived. Meat, bread, some kind of potatoes, and coffee this time. He took the first bite. The food was greasy and simple, not like anything from his old world, but it was warm, and it was not rationed between battles. For a moment, he let himself simply be a man eating a meal. Then the game show cut to a commercial. Bright music, a cartoon version of Kratos, smiling in a way the real man never did, swung a fake axe at little blue monsters made of V-shaped logos. Kratos Crunch, a cheerful voice shouted. Start your day like a god of war, sponsored by Vault. The cartoon Kratos grinned and drank a Vault-branded energy drink. The logo on the can matched the one on the screen Homelander's face often filled. The coffee cup in Kratos' hand cracked. The diner went quiet. Everyone turned to look at him. The cartoon laughed and swung its axe again. The owner scrambled for the remote and changed the channel to a cooking show. Sorry, she said. That thing's everywhere now. Can't escape it. Kratos set the broken cup down. They took your image without asking, the waiter whispered. That's messed up. They take everything, the owner said softly. Stories, faces, streets. We just keep cooking. Kratos stared at the blank edge of the table for a moment. He had killed gods who tried to steal his life for their songs. Now this company stole his face for sugar. Somehow, this felt worse. He picked up his fork again. Then the first explosion hit. The windows shook. Plates rattled. People screamed. The kid dropped his crayon. Kratos stood up, chair scraping back. The owner grabbed her child and ducked behind the counter. A second blast followed, closer. The front windows blew inward with a crash of glass. Outside, the narrow street had turned into a war zone. A car burned in the middle of the road. Smoke rose from a shattered streetlight. People ran away from a group of figures walking calmly down the center of the street. The soup gang had arrived. There were 5 of them. The leader, a tall man with a slick haircut and glowing red veins on his arms, walked with his chest out. Small sparks danced between his fingers. Another soup had skin like rough stone. One woman floated, hair blowing in a wind no one else felt, bits of metal spinning around her. Two more hung back, one with glowing eyes, the other with blades attached to his arms. Behind them, a few normal men in leather jackets carried bats and guns. "All right, listen up," the leader shouted. His voice boomed with a slight echo, power carrying it down the block. "Rent's due. Protection isn't free. Anyone who's late gets a reminder." His eyes went to the diner sign. "And anyone who puts no capes on their window," he added, "gets a special visit." He took a step toward the door. Kratos walked out through the broken glass. He looked at the burning car, at the people hiding behind trash cans, at the soup leader with the glowing veins. "You disturbed my meal," Kratos said. The leader laughed. "Look at this guy," he said to his crew. "Didn't know we were doing cosplay today. You lost, old man." Kratos did not answer. He stepped off the curb. The gang spread out a little, forming a loose circle. They were confident. They had powers. They owned this block. "You're in our territory," the leader said. "You pay us, or we break you. Simple." Kratos tilted his head slightly. "No," he said. The leader's eyes flared. He raised his hand and fired a bolt of red energy. It hit Kratos square in the chest. The blast shoved him back half a step. His shirt burned away in a black circle. His skin reddened but did not break. He looked down at the mark, then up at the leader. "Done?" he asked. The leader's smile slipped. "Get him," he snapped. The stone-skinned soup charged, feet cracking the sidewalk. The blade-armed soup rushed in from the left, metal slicing the air. The floating woman flicked her fingers, sending jagged bits of metal spinning toward Kratos like a storm. Kratos moved. He stepped forward into the stone-skin's charge and slammed his shoulder into the other man's chest. The impact sounded like a tree trunk hitting a wall. Stoneskin flew backward into a parked car. The car crumpled around him. Spinning metal came next. Kratos raised his arm and let the pieces bite into his bracer. Sparks flew. One shard cut his cheek. Blood ran down, bright red. The blade-armed soup tried to take advantage, diving in from the side. Kratos caught his wrist. The blade stopped an inch from Kratos' throat. He squeezed. Bone and metal snapped together. The soup screamed. Kratos yanked him forward and tossed him into the pile of spinning metal, sending both crashing into a wall. He could have killed them. He didn't. Not yet. The leader's eyes went wide. "Shoot him," he shouted. The human thugs opened fire. Bullets hit Kratos' chest, shoulders, arms. They flattened against his skin or bounced off, pinging into the street. He took a step toward them. The men dropped their guns and ran. "I warned you," the leader muttered. Small arcs of power danced more wildly along his veins. He drew in a breath and fired a much larger blast. The red energy hit Kratos like a train. The street under his feet cracked. The diner windows finished giving way. People inside screamed again. Kratos planted his boots and pushed. The blast burned like Homelander's beam, but without the same focus. It had more noise than force. Kratos walked through it. Each step made the ground shudder. The leader's face twisted. He poured more power into the attack. His veins glowed so bright they looked like they would burst. Kratos reached him. He raised one hand, grabbed the man's throat, and lifted him off the ground. The energy bolt cut off. Up above, on a nearby rooftop, Butcher lowered his binoculars and grinned. "There we go," he said. He does not like people messing with his lunch. Huey, lying on his stomach beside him, did not share the grin. "They're just small time," he said. "This isn't even a fight for him." "That's the point," Butcher said. "We see how he treats the small ones." Down below, Kratos held the soup leader at arm's length. The man clawed at his grip, electricity flickering weakly around his fingers. "You hurt these people," Kratos said, "for money." "They owe us," the man gasped. "We protect them from worse guys." "There are always worse men," Kratos said. "You chose to become one of them." He tightened his hand. The leader went limp and dropped when Kratos released him, gasping, but still breathing. Kratos looked at the others. Stone Skin groaned in the car. Blade arms lay tangled in metal. The floating woman pushed herself up from where she had slammed into the wall. "Leave," Kratos said. "Do not return." They stared at him. Then someone else spoke. "Sorry, big guy," a new voice said. "They're not done yet." The Black Ops team stepped out from the alley shadows and roof ledges like pieces on a board. They wore dark armor with no logos. Their helmets had reflective visors. Some carried guns that looked heavier than normal. Others had packs on their backs with blinking lights. At their center stood a tall, silent figure in black. His mask showed no face, just smooth, dark material. He moved like a shadow, black noir. He did not speak. He did not need to. Just being there told everyone who had sent him. On a higher rooftop, Homelander hovered out of sight of most cameras. He folded his arms and watched. "Make it clean," Ashley's voice said in his ear. "No obvious vault branding. If this goes wrong, we blame rogue agents." Homelander smirked. "Sure," he said. "Rogue agents." Down below, the lead operative raised a hand. "Target in sight," he said. "Engaging containment protocol." Kratos turned to face them. He recognized trained killers when he saw them. They moved with purpose. They flanked. They looked at his hands, his weapons, his stance. These were not street thugs. These were men sent to hunt something dangerous. He reached over his shoulder and drew the Leviathan axe. Frost crawled along the blade. The operatives spread out further. 2 took positions on roofs above. 3 stayed on the ground, fanning out. 2 more carried a device between them. A metal frame with coils and dishes, hooked to a pack with lights. "Deploy net," the leader said. The 2 with the device planted it on the ground. It unfolded like a metal flower. Coils glowed. A low hum filled the air. Kratos felt the hair on his arms stand up. He stepped forward. "Now," the leader snapped. The device fired invisible lines of force that solidified into a mesh of glowing energy around Kratos. It snapped shut like a trap. The air vibrated. The net dug into his skin with a sharp, buzzing pain. He felt his muscles slow, like he was trying to move through thick mud. His grip on the axe trembled. The operatives closed in. "Target contained," the leader said. "Move in for sample retrieval." Black Noir moved quicker than the rest. He leaped from a low wall to Kratos' side and raked a blade across his shoulder. For the first time since landing in this world, Kratos' blood spilled in a clean, shallow line. The knife had some trick to it. It cut deeper than it should. Kratos growled. The net tightened. On the rooftop, Huey's heart jumped into his throat. "They got him," he said. "They actually got him." Butcher's smile faded. He did not like seeing his bomb in someone else's hands. "Not for long," he said. "Look at his face." Kratos had been patient up to this point. He had held his anger back when Homelander blasted him. He had kept his blows measured with the small soups. Now a chain bit into him. Now hunters tried to take his blood, like he was an animal. Something inside him snapped. He drew in a long breath. Spartan rage rose like a red wave. He let it hit. His vision narrowed. The world slowed. Every line of the net, every breath of the men around him, every small movement became clear. He roared. The sound shook windows and sent birds flying from rooftops. Muscles swelled. Veins bulged. His eyes burned brighter. He grabbed the glowing net with both hands. Pain shot up his arms. The energy tried to burn him from the inside. His bones felt like they would crack. He pulled anyway. The net held for a second. Then, with a sound like a giant metal cable snapping, it broke. Energy lines ripped apart. The device on the ground exploded in a burst of sparks. The two operatives nearest it flew backward. Kratos swung the broken pieces aside and stepped out of the smoking remains. He was breathing hard, chest heaving. Blood dripped from his shoulder and from burns where the net had dug in. But he moved like a boulder rolling downhill. The operatives hesitated for a fraction of a second. It was 1 second too long. Kratos charged. He reached the nearest man and smashed him into the wall with one hand, armor dented. The man slumped. He dodged a hail of special rounds by stepping in close, making the shooters fear hitting their own. Black Noir flew at him from the side, knives flashing. Kratos blocked one knife with the axe and caught Noir's other wrist in his free hand. The silent assassin twisted, trying to slip out of the grip, but Kratos' fingers felt like iron bands. Noir drove a knee at Kratos' ribs. It bounced off like a tap. Kratos headbutted Noir. The impact cracked the mask. Noir flew backward, rolled, and came up again, shaking his head. He did not quit, but his moves were slower now. On another rooftop, Starlight had arrived, breath steaming in the cool air. She watched through parted bricks. "What are they doing?" she whispered. "This wasn't part of the plan." "They're testing him," Huey's voice said in her ear. He was on a different roof with the boys, patched into her comm. "Net, special weapons. They want a sample." "Of what?" she asked. "Of him," Huey said. She watched Kratos backhand an armored man into a parked truck. The vehicle's alarm howled and then died when its front end collapsed. He did not kill the operatives. Not yet. He knocked them out, broke weapons, smashed armor. He fought like someone who knew exactly how much force a human body could take before it stopped. Noir tried another rush. Kratos swung the axe. Noir blocked with a knife. The axe knocked the blade out of his hand and shaved a line across his chest armor, sending him sprawling. The remaining operatives fired a different injector weapon, needles tipped with compounds designed to sedate soups. Kratos felt a sting in his side. His hand snapped out faster than the eye could follow. He grabbed the dart before it could sink deeper and crushed it between his fingers. The liquid hissed and evaporated on the ground. "Enough," he growled. He slammed the axe head into the street. Frost spread in a wide circle again. This time, it climbed legs and boots as well, freezing the operatives' feet to the ground. They struggled, trapped. He could have gone from face to face, ending them. Instead, he walked to the broken net device and kicked it into a wall, shattering what was left. One small drone, half the size of a fist, still hummed above the ruins. Its blade spun. A tiny needle glistened with a drop of red on its tip. It zipped upward, unnoticed by Kratos, and flew toward the clouds. Homelander's eyes tracked it lazily. "Got what you wanted?" he asked on the open channel. In the lab below, the lead scientist smiled. "We have a sample," she said. "Bring the drone home." Homelander looked down at Kratos, standing in a ring of frost and fallen men, chest heaving. He did not go down to help. He did not blow Kratos apart from above. Not this time. He stayed in the shadows of the clouds. Let someone else take the first punch next time. The boys moved when the civilians started screaming again. The fight between Kratos and the operatives had blown out more windows. A nearby building groaned, its front wall stripped of support. People inside shouted for help, trapped behind fallen shelves and broken doors. "Kimiko, with me," said, already running for the stairs. "Frenchie, grab the medkit." Butcher grabbed Huey's arm as he moved to follow. "Cameras," Butcher said. "Get this. World needs to see who's saving who." Huey pulled away and glared at him. "They're trapped, Billy," he said. "I'm going down there." Butcher hesitated. Then he nodded and followed. By the time they reached the street, Kratos was already under the cracked frame of the building's entrance, bracing it with one shoulder while pushing debris aside with his free hand. "Move," he shouted to the people inside. "Now!" Kimiko dashed in past him, picking up fallen beams like they were sticks. She guided a woman and 2 kids out. Took their hands and rushed them away. Frenchie checked a fallen operative out of habit, made sure he was breathing, then kept going. Huey pulled his phone out and filmed as he helped drag a half-conscious man out of a collapsed doorway. Starlight landed in a burst of light, blasting some of the heavier blocks apart without letting them crush anyone. For a moment, everyone worked together without thinking about sides. Vought agents, vigilantes, a god of war. When the last person stumbled out, Kratos let the frame fall fully. The front of the building caved in with a crash. He stepped back, chest rising and falling. His eyes met Starlight's. "This was their test," he said. She nodded, jaw tight. "Yeah," she said. "They wanted to see what hurts you." "They failed," he said. She glanced at his bleeding shoulder. "Not completely," she said. "You're hurt." "It will heal," he said. He looked past her at the fallen operatives, ice still binding their legs. "They serve the ones who lie," he said, "but they are only men." "Men who chose this," Butcher said, stepping forward. Kratos looked at him. "Butcher," Starlight said sharply. "What?" he asked. "We all pick a side, love. These blokes picked theirs. They came out here to bag him like a trophy." Kratos' gaze moved over the men again. "They chose to be hunters," he said slowly. "I chose not to kill them." He turned away. The diner owner watched from her doorway, arms around her child. Her eyes were wide, her face pale. When Kratos passed, she reached out. "Thank you," she said. He nodded once. "You should find another place for some time," he said. "This place will draw more trouble now." "This is our home," she said. "Where would we go?" He did not have an answer. "Come on, big man," Butcher called. "We've got more of these places to worry about." Kratos glanced at him, then at the boy peeking from behind the owner's skirt. The kid's eyes were full of questions and a simple, bright trust. He looked away. "I will return," he told the owner quietly. "If they come back, call for me." "How?" she asked, bewildered. He thought for a moment, then pointed at the wall near the door. "Paint this," he said. He took a piece of broken metal from the ground and carved a rough symbol into the brick. It looked like a simple outline of his axe, plain and ugly. "If I see this," he said, "I will look. That is all I can promise." She touched the carving. "It's enough," she said. In Wout's lab, the small drone landed in a glass box. The scientists gathered around like kids on a field trip. The needle extended and released a single drop of thick red liquid into a waiting vial. Machines hummed. Lights blinked. The system tagged the sample as KV01. "Scan it," the lead scientist said. The analyzer processed the drop with tiny flashes of light. Numbers appeared on the screen. Some of them didn't make sense. This isn't Compound V, one researcher whispered. This is something else. There's energy stored here in ways that should not be possible. Can we copy it? Edgar asked. The scientist swallowed. Maybe, she said, but we have to be careful. Whatever this is, it doesn't want to be inside our rules. He smiled slightly at that. Then we rewrite the rules, he said. By the end of the week, the story had changed again. Vort's channels called the factory fight a huge win. Homelander's approval ticked up. Soldier Boy got a new talk show spot. The Black Ops attack in the neighborhood never made the news. But people in that block told the story anyway. They talked about an angry god who ate in their diner and broke soups like toys when they came for rent. They painted little axe symbols on walls and doors in chalk and spray paint. Some did it as a joke. Some did it in hope. Some did it in fear. Soups whispered too. They talked about the blast, the net, the way Black Noir had gone down. They talked about the man who had taken Homelander's beam and Soldier Boy's blast and was still walking. They gave him names. God of War, Craterman, the Butcher's Titan. Kratos ignored the names. He walked through the city at night listening. He heard the lies and the pain. He heard, faintly, the sound of a world trying to decide if it was afraid of him or grateful. On a rooftop, the boys watched him from a distance. We wanted to make him a factor, Butcher said. Now he is. Yeah, Huey said softly. He is. He watched Kratos disappear into the dark and wondered if they had just moved the timer on a bigger bomb closer to zero. Far above, Homelander hovered again, eyes reflecting the city lights. He watched the tiny axe symbols appear on more and more walls. He did not like sharing space on his city's surfaces, not with anyone. The game had changed. Everyone at the top knew it, and the man who had just wanted a quiet meal had become one of the main pieces on the board. Weeks passed. The city adjusted. The first axe symbol Kratos had carved into the diner wall did not stay alone. Copies appeared on other blocks. Some were rough and crooked. Some were neat, painted with care. Most sat low on brick, near doors and alley mouths. When Kratos walked at night, he saw them. One symbol outside a bodega, where the owner had stopped paying a soup gang. One on a school wall, drawn by a shaky hand. One sprayed on the side of a rundown clinic, where the doctor never turned away anyone who needed help. He had not asked for any of this. He did not tell them to stop. When screams echoed in streets marked with the axe, he came. He broke a soup's arm when the man tried to pull a girl into an alley. He caught a runaway car with one hand when a high, drunk flyer dropped it during a stunt. He stood in front of a small protest when corporate security tried to disperse it with batons. He did not stay long in any place. He did what was needed and walked on. People filmed. They always did. Some videos made it to Vought News, where they were called vigilante incidents. Most stayed on smaller feeds, passed from phone to phone. The diner stayed open. The NOV Cape sign was still in the window, though the glass had been replaced. The owner kept a baseball bat behind the counter now. Her kid drew axe symbols on napkins when business was slow. Kratos came back when he could. He sat at the same booth. He ordered almost the same food. The owner started giving him a small discount he did not ask for. "You protect my street," she said when he tried to pay full. "I can afford less for your coffee." He did not argue. He knew better than to step on pride like that. Sometimes, for a few minutes, it almost felt like he had what he once wanted. A simple life, a place to sit, a plate of hot food. Then something would crack that piece open again. In Vault's lower floors, the world felt very different. The lab had changed since the sample came in. More machines, more cables, more security. A heavy door now sealed the room, requiring scans and codes to open. Edgar visited often. The blood labelled KV-01 sat in a series of nested containers, each shielded and monitored. It glowed faintly when viewed under certain lights. The lead scientist watched new readings scroll across her screen. "We've mapped part of the energy pattern," she told Edgar. "It's layered, like several different types of power crushed into one. Some pieces match known V signatures. Others don't match anything in our universe." "Can you use it?" Edgar asked. "We've managed to trigger a tiny reaction," she said. "Look." She hit a switch. Above the main console, inside a fist-sized containment box, the air shimmered. A small crack of darkness appeared for a half second, then snapped shut. "Repeatable?" Edgar asked. "With this amount, only a few more times," she said. "We're working on synthetic versions, copies, but they're unstable. Without more samples, we'll only have small jumps." "Small jumps?" Edgar repeated. "Maybe open a doorway big enough for a drone," she said. "Or a hand. Not much more, not yet." He nodded slowly. "This is enough for now," he said. "It proves the principle." He looked at the vial. "With this," he said, "we can open doors to where he came from, or to other places like it. Places with power we can sell." She hesitated. "We don't know what's on the other side," she said. "Or what happens if something comes through that we can't control?" "Control is an ongoing project," Edgar said. "But first, we must understand our existing asset better." He turned from the glass. "Prepare a message," he said. "A peace offering. Tell Kratos we can help him go home." Homelander chose a rooftop that gave him a nice view. He waited there in the air, just above the edge, cape rippling. He liked the way the city lights framed him. He heard Kratos' steps long before he saw him. Boots on concrete, slow, heavy, not sneaky. The man did not care who heard him. Kratos came around a stairwell and stepped out onto the roof. He looked the same as always. Scarred, solid, weapons on his back. The faint new scars from the net and the blast were gone. "You called," Kratos said. Homelander smiled. "Yeah," he said. "Thought we should have a little chat. Just you and me. No cameras, no audience, no handlers." Kratos looked up at him. "You like audiences," he said. "Sure," Homelander said. "But sometimes it's nice to talk to someone who can understand." He drifted down until he stood a few steps away. Up close, Kratos could smell the faint chemical tang on him. Compound V and expensive soap. "You're strong," Homelander said. "I'll give you that. I haven't seen anyone since ever take what you took and keep standing." Kratos said nothing. "You came out of nowhere," Homelander went on. "No file, no childhood pictures, no awkward teen phase. Just boom, right through my face." He gestured toward the direction of the destroyed billboard and laughed. "That was cute, by the way," he said. "Really made a statement. If your face had not been there, I would have gone through something else," Kratos said. Homelander's smile twitched. "You don't like me very much," he said. "I do not know you," Kratos said. "I know what you do. I have seen the fear in people's eyes when they speak your name. That is enough." Homelander stepped closer. "The thing is," he said, voice lower now, "you and I, we're not that different. We both stand above. We both could sweep this city clean in an afternoon if we wanted. You've done it before, haven't you? In your world. You killed your gods." "I did," Kratos said. "Did it fix everything?" Homelander asked. "No," Kratos said. "Exactly," Homelander said. "So maybe this time we try something else. We don't tear it all down. We manage it together." He spread his arms, like he was showing off a new toy. "You and me," he said. "Think about it. They already fear you. They already worship me. You stand at my side, and no one ever hurts a kid in that diner again unless we say so. No one builds a lab. No one drops a bomb. No one breathes without us allowing it." Kratos frowned. "That is not protection," he said. "That is rule." "That's leadership," Homelander said. "Someone has to hold the leash. Right now, it's old men in suits living off our backs. Kill them, sure. I won't cry. But if you kill them and walk away, someone worse fills the gap. Me? I'm already here." "You want me to make you king," Kratos said. "I already am," Homelander said softly. "I just want a god of war at my right hand instead of a lying board at my throat." He looked into Kratos' eyes. "I know you've seen what people do when they think no one can stop them," he said. "You've done some of it yourself. I can see it on you. I'm just asking you to admit the truth. People want someone above them. Better that it's us than another Edgar." Kratos thought of Zeus and Odin, of thrones and councils, of men and gods who all said the same thing. "We know what is best. Let us decide." He had been part of that once. The weight of it still followed him. "You are afraid," Kratos said. Homelander blinked. "Excuse me?" he asked. "You are afraid of losing them," Kratos said. "Their eyes, their cheers, their love. You fear that if I stand, they will look at me instead." "That's not," Homelander began. "You are a child who never learned to stand without a crowd," Kratos said calmly. "You want me to hold your hand while you rule?" "No." Homelander's face changed. The smile faded. The eyes hardened. For a second, the friendly mask fell away, and something raw and angry looked out. "You think you're better than me," he said. "No," Kratos said. "I know I am not. I have done worse than you in my own world. I have drowned cities in blood. I have killed fathers and sons alike. That is why I will not stand above this world and pretend it is for their good." He stepped back. "You want a partner in your rule," he said. "I am not that. I will not share your throne, or anyone's." Homelander's eyes began to glow. "You know," he said softly, "I could kill you. I could keep hitting you until something breaks. Until the people in that diner see you as another corpse on the news." "You can try," Kratos said. They stood there, power humming in the air. The slightest movement away from tearing the city open. Homelander's hands twitched. He saw, in his mind, beams cutting, fists smashing, new craters. He saw the look on Edgar's face if he lost. He saw 100 cameras. He saw Ryan watching. He forced a laugh. "I'm kidding," he said. "Relax. See? No lasers." The light in his eyes faded. "Think about my offer," he said. "You might find the view up top is better when you're not alone." He shot into the air and left a gust of wind behind. Kratos watched him go. He did not think the man would ask again. The next time they met, it would be fists and beams, not words. Vort's offer came the next day. They did not send Homelander or a team of gunmen. They sent a car and a woman in a neat suit. Kratos met them on the edge of an empty parking lot behind a warehouse. He had chosen the place. There were no cameras, no crowds, just cracked asphalt and weeds. Ashley stepped out of the car with a small, practiced smile. 2 security men in plain clothes stayed beside the doors. "Kratos," she said. "Nice to finally meet you in person. I'm Ashley. I help run Vault. He said nothing. Okay, she said, taking a breath. I'll get right to it. We know you're not from here. He did not react, but she saw a tiny change in his eyes. We've seen some things, she said. Energy signatures, footage. You don't match anything we know. Our scientists think you came through some kind of tear, a doorway. He remembered the crack in his own sky, the feeling of falling. We think we can open it again, Ashley said, or one like it. We've already done small tests, tiny openings. If we had your help, your energy, we might open something big enough for you to step through. Why? Kratos asked. Because you don't belong here, Ashley said. The words came out harsher than she meant. She rushed to cover. I mean, you said it yourself, right? You're tired. You're always in the middle of fights that aren't yours. You clearly had a life before, a family. We can help you go home, or to somewhere you choose. And in return, Kratos asked. She hesitated. In return, she said, we'd like some help first. Not much, just a few problems that need solving. Big problems, dangerous ones. Names, Kratos said. She looked away, then back. Global threats, she said. Rogue soups, rival companies, governments that don't like us as much as they should. We could aim you at the worst of them. You do what you already do. Then we send you home. He watched her face as she spoke. Fear, hope, calculation. She believed what she was saying, at least partly. But she also believed in quotas and ratings and shareholders. He could see that too. And after? He asked. After I leave? After, she repeated. You will have my blood, he said. My power, your machines. You will open more doors, bring through more weapons, more gods. Ashley swallowed. Maybe, she said. Or maybe we bring through more heroes, more people like you, who can stand in the way of monsters. There will always be monsters, Kratos said. Men will always find ways to make them. You want to sell them. He stepped closer. Ashley held her ground, but her hand shook. I have been used as a weapon, Kratos said, by gods, by kings, by my own anger. I will not let your company carve my power into pills and suits. Look, she said, voice tight. This isn't just about money. This is about control. If we don't control it, someone else will. Some other world, some other Vought. At least here, we know the players. He thought of that small tear in the lab, the one he had never seen but could imagine. Human hands prying at the edges of a door they could not see through. No, he said. She flinched like he had hit her. Just no, she asked. You're turning down a way home. He looked toward the hazy skyline. Atreus would want me to go back, he said quietly. But he would also ask what I leave behind, who I leave under your hand. You can't save everyone, Ashley said. I know, Kratos said, but I can refuse to help those who hurt them. He turned and walked away. Ashley watched him go, then sagged against the car for a second. We tried, she said into her earpiece. In the lab, Edgar listened to the report and did not look surprised. Prepare Plan C, he said. He will not always be around. Our doors will open with or without his blessing. The boys' offer came last. They gathered in the safe house, the whole team, the air thick with too many bodies and too many secrets. Kratos sat on a crate, axe leaning against the wall within reach. The room felt small around him. Butcher paced as usual. All right, Butcher said. Cards on the table. You had your little meet and greet with Homelander. You had your tea party with Vought. Now it's our turn. He stopped pacing and looked Kratos in the eye. We want to kill Homelander, Butcher said. Full stop. No more around the bend. No more hoping he slips. We want him dead. Kratos nodded slowly. I know, he said. We also want to break Vought, Butcher went on. Take apart their labs, their lies, their hold on this world. We don't need soups gone completely. Some can stay, if they're willing to live like the rest of us. But the top has to go. Huey shifted in his seat. Stayed very still. Starlight, leaning against the wall with her arms crossed, closed her eyes for a second. We've been trying for years, Butcher said. We got close. We knocked them off balance. But they always had the bigger gun, the higher ground. Now we've got you. He spread his hands. With you, we could rush the tower, he said. We could drag Homelander out of the sky. We could make Edgar bleed. We could scare the rest straight. Kratos listened. You want a war, he said. We're already in one, Butcher said. I just want to win for once. And the others, Kratos asked. Soups who hurt people. Soups who do not. Men in suits, police, soldiers. How many must die before you say you have won? Butcher's jaw tightened. As many as it takes, he said. Billy, warned. No, Butcher snapped. He asked, I answered. We don't get a clean win here. There's no magic, only the bad ones bomb. We make choices. We aim our rage. We live with it. He pointed at Kratos. You know what that's like, he said. Don't pretend you don't. You killed gods. You knew some of them didn't deserve it as much as others. You swung anyway. Kratos' eyes darkened. Do not tell me what I know, he said quietly. The room cooled a little. Huey took a breath. We're not asking you to kill everyone, he said. We're asking you to help when the next big chance comes. When Homelander slips, when Vought trips, we can't do that alone. Starlight stepped forward. We want this to end, she said. Not with another tyrant, not with another company, with people actually having a say. I know that sounds cheesy, but it's true. Butcher's plan is big, risky. It could burn everything. She looked at Kratos. You've seen what that looks like, she said. He nodded. I will kill Homelander, Kratos said. Everyone froze. But not as your bomb, he went on. Not as your plan. I will kill him if he tries to tear this world apart. If he hurts people when he does not need to. If he leaves me no other choice. Butcher stared at him. That's not good enough, Butcher said. It is all I offer, Kratos said. I will come when your information shows me evil that cannot be stopped in any other way. I will break the worst of them, but I will not tear down a tower just to see it fall. I have done that. It did not heal anything. Let out a breath he hadn't known he was holding. Huey looked at Butcher. We can work with that, he said. We have to. Butcher's face twisted. You're scared, he said to Kratos. Not of him, not of them, of yourself. You're scared if you let go, you'll do it again. You'll burn everything. Yes, Kratos said. I am. The honesty in his voice surprised even him. Butcher laughed once, bitterly. Welcome to the club, he said. We're all scared of ourselves here. He paced away, then back. Fine, he said. We'll do it your way, for now. We give you the calls. You decide which ones you answer. Just don't take too long, yeah? Some of us don't have God years to waste. Kratos stood. I have lived long, he said, but each day is shorter than the last. I will not waste them on another man's revenge. He picked up his axe and headed for the door. Hey, Huey said. One more thing. Kratos stopped. There's someone who wants to meet you, Huey said. A kid. He needs to see that power can look like something other than a smile on TV. Kratos thought of Atreus again, of a boy who had needed someone to show him that hard choices did not erase his right to choose. Where? Kratos asked. They met in a park at dusk. Ryan waited on a bench, hands jammed in his hoodie pockets, legs swinging. Starlight sat beside him. Huey paced nearby, trying to look casual and failing. Trees rustled. Streetlights blinked on, one by one. Kratos walked up the path. Ryan's eyes went huge. Up close. The man from the videos was even bigger. His scars looked real, not like makeup. His axe caught the fading light. He had no cape, no brand. "You're Kratos," Ryan blurted. "Yes," Kratos said. Ryan jumped up. "I saw you hold up that building," he said, "and fight that guy with the blast. And you didn't run away when my dad shot you. You just stood there." Huey coughed softly. "Ryan," he said. "Careful." Ryan bit his lip, but the words still tumbled out. "My dad says you're dangerous," he said, "that you're going to ruin everything. But the people in that factory would have died without you. And the people in that diner, and those kids at the protest. I saw the videos. He only shows me the ones where he wins, but the internet shows more." Kratos listened. "You are his son," he said. Ryan nodded. "Yeah," he said. "I didn't ask to be. It just happened." He looked at his shoes. "He can be nice," Ryan said softly. "Sometimes, when it's just us. But then he gets this look, like he's somewhere else, like he's with all of them, on the screens. And then he says stuff like, 'We have to stick together. We're better than them.'" He looked up at Kratos. "Are we?" he asked. "Better?" Kratos thought of his own blood, of the first time he had told Atreus what they were. Gods, not men. "I told my son something like that once," he said. "It hurt him. It made him think he was above. Then it made him think he was a monster." "What did you do?" Ryan asked. "I tried to fix it," Kratos said. "Slowly, by showing him that being strong does not make you good or bad. What you do with it does." Ryan's eyes were wet. "Everyone keeps telling me what I am," he said. "A weapon, a symbol, a son. No one asks what I want." Kratos crouched so they were closer to eye level. "What do you want?" he asked. Ryan swallowed. "I want people not to be afraid when they see me," he said. "I want to help. Not because someone pointed me at something. Because I chose it." Kratos looked at the boy's face, at the mix of Homelander's features and something softer underneath. "When the time comes," Kratos said, "your father will ask you to stand beside him. Others will ask you to stand against him. They will all tell you it is the only way." He put a hand on Ryan's shoulder, gentle for someone his size. "You must decide your own way," he said. "Not mine, not his, not theirs. Your power is yours. Do not give it away for free." Ryan sniffed and wiped his eyes with his sleeve. "Will you fight him?" he asked. "My dad?" "Yes," Kratos said. He did not lie. Ryan nodded shakily. "Will you kill him?" he asked. Kratos thought for a long moment. "If he tries to burn this world," Kratos said, "if he leaves no other path, I will end him. I have done this before. I will carry it again." Ryan's jaw clenched. "Okay," he said quietly. Kratos squeezed his shoulder once and let go. "You can hate me for it," Kratos said, "or him, or everyone, or you can choose something else. Remember this, you are not only his son, you are yours." Ryan looked at him like he was trying to memorize every word. "Okay," he said again. Starlight stood, eyes bright. "Time's up," she said gently. "We should go." Ryan nodded. "Thank you," he told Kratos. Kratos stood. "I will not always be here," he said. "But if you ever feel you are alone, remember, even gods can change." He turned and walked away. The axe on his back, the city ahead. Later that night, the diner was quiet. The rush had ended. Chairs were stacked on some tables. The owner wiped down the counter. Her kid slept in a booth, head on folded arms. Kratos sat in his usual seat. His plate was empty. He had eaten the whole meal. Meat, bread, the last of the potatoes. His coffee mug was half full. No sirens had sounded. No explosions. No soups had crashed through the door. The game on the small television ended and rolled into late commercials. The vault ad block started, but the owner muted it before any smiling faces appeared. "Thank you," Kratos said. She smiled. "Figured you earned one quiet dinner," she said. He sipped his coffee. "You know they're not going to stop," she said after a moment. "The capes, the company, the ones who think they own us. They'll keep coming up with new tricks." "Yes," he said. "You going to keep standing in the door?" she asked. He thought of Homelander's offer, of Ashley's portal, of Butcher's bomb plan, of Ryan's eyes. "I will stand when I must," he said. "Not for them, for you, for your child, for anyone who cannot hold up the weight." She nodded, as if this matched something she already believed. "Then I'll keep a plate ready," she said. He finished his coffee. When he stepped out into the night, the axe symbol on the wall seemed a little clearer in the streetlight. He touched it once with his fingers. "Not done yet," he murmured. He walked into the city, not as its king, not as its weapon, but as something harder to name, something that chose. The city did not sleep, but it started to dream different dreams. On one block, a soup started a fight in a bar, then stopped himself when someone pointed at a small axe symbol near the door. He muttered something about not wanting that guy's attention, and left. In another, a landlord tried to double the rent on a family. The family painted the symbol on their stoop. 2 days later, a video leaked of that landlord in bed with a secret soup affair recorded by the boys. The rent stayed the same. In some places, the symbol meant safety. In others, it meant trouble. In all, it meant the old board had changed. The boys watched it happen from their patch of shadows. A new clip played on Huey's laptop. Kratos, helping pull people from a bus hanging halfway off a bridge. Starlight holding the bus steady with light and force. No Vault logos in sight. 3 forces now, MM said. Vought, Homelander, Kratos. "Don't forget us," Frenchie said. "We are the little rats chewing at the wires." Kimiko smiled at that. Huey nodded at the screen. "We're the ones who keep the cameras honest," he said. Butcher stood at the window, looking out. "We'll see which way he tilts when the big one comes," he said. "Big one?" Huey asked. "You know there's a big one coming," Butcher said. "There always is." He watched an axe symbol across the street, half washed away by rain. "Until then," he said, "we use the time we've got." In the lab, the next test began. The sample glowed brighter under the machines. The small containment box shook as the air inside bent. "Power stabilized," the scientist said. "Opening. Now." A tear appeared in the box, larger this time. Big enough for a hand to fit through. It pulsed, faint and angry. On the other side, for a fraction of a second, something glowed blue. Then alarm screamed. The tear twisted, lunging sideways inside the box like a living thing. The glass cracked. "Shut it down," the scientist shouted. They cut power. The tear snapped shut with a sharp clap. The room stank of ozone and something else. Something old and wild. "Log it," the scientist said, heart hammering. Note: external response stronger than expected. Edgar watched from behind the glass. He smiled. "Keep going," he said. "Carefully." He did not care how many boxes cracked before they found a stable door. In his mind, he saw a network of portals. Deals with other worlds, new soups, new markets. If this universe survived the game between Homelander and Kratos, there would be so much more to sell. Homelander floated in the clouds again. He had watched Kratos meet his son. He had watched from far away. Sound turned up just enough to catch bits of words. He should have flown down, should have grabbed Ryan and blasted the old man through concrete. But he hadn't. Part of him, a part he did not like, wanted to see what Ryan would do, who he would choose. "He'll pick me," Homelander whispered to the empty air. "He has to. I'm his father." His breath fogged and vanished. Below, he saw axe symbols. He saw vault logos. He saw a city torn between 3 stories, and a truth no one wanted to say out loud. "This is my world," he said. He looked toward the vague point where Kratos walked, a tiny dot on a giant canvas. "One day," Homelander said, "you and me, no roofs, no cameras, just who's left standing." His smile grew cold. "I know how that ends," he told himself. He wasn't sure he believed it. Ryan sat alone in his room again. The tablet lay on his bed, screen bright. He had paused a video of Kratos helping with the bus again. One hand braced, muscles straining, face set. On the shelf nearby, a Homelander action figure stood with a plastic smile, cape flared. Ryan picked up the figure. He looked at it for a long time. "I still love you," he said softly. "You're my dad." He set the figure down gently. Then he tapped the tablet screen and let the video play. Kratos grunted as he lifted. Starlight yelled something off screen. People screamed and then cheered. Ryan watched their faces, tired, dirty, alive. "You said I have to choose," he whispered, remembering Kratos' words. "Not just between you and him, between who I become." He did not know the answer yet, but for the first time, he knew the question was his. Kratos stood on a high rooftop, alone. The city stretched out below, a maze of light and shadow. Cars crawled. People laughed in bars. Somewhere, someone cried. Somewhere else, someone plotted. He closed his eyes. He heard Atreus' voice in old memories. Heard the boy say that gods could be more than stories of fear. Heard him ask if his father could be more than his past. "I'm trying, boy," Kratos murmured. "Even here." He opened his eyes. On one distant block, the tiny glow of the diner sign showed like a warm dot. On another, the cold shine of Vault Tower speared the sky. Far above that, a faint red-blue flicker marked where Homelander patrolled. The world did not need him to fix everything. It did not want him to rule it. But there were people down there who could not hold up their own falling walls. He had shoulders for that. He picked up his axe and rested it on his shoulder. The wind tugged at his beard. "This world is not done yet," he said quietly. "And neither am I." He stepped off the edge. He fell. He landed somewhere in the dark, where no cameras waited, where someone had painted a small, rough axe on a door. The city shuddered around him and then kept moving. The story was not over. It was only waiting for the next choice,